And this is the new WOLFBOX Hardwire kit. And on this video, I'm gonna show you how it works in preparation for installation. And I have placed a link to this kit in the description down below if you'd like to get one for yourself. Now, don't let all of this intimidate you. The kit is actually quite simple once we get to know it. First off, we get 2 sets of fuse tabs, which are these wires right here. We don't need to use all of them. You only need to use a few, and I'm gonna show you which ones. Then we get the Hardwire kit box, a little installation tool, and instructions. Now, this end is gonna go to the dash cam, and this end is gonna go to the fuse box. But there's also some important information on this little box, especially because this is the new Hardwire kit. So let me show you how to tell if you have the older version or the new version. And the kit is gonna work with vehicles that run on 12 volts or 24 volts. Now, the big difference between the new one and the old one is that the new one is able to output 4 amps, where the prior one could only output 3 amps. Now, this is still gonna work for most WOLFBOX dash cams. There are only a few that need more power, that need the 4 amps, and that is the G890, G900 Pro, and the G900 Tri-Pro. Those you're gonna need the new kit, not the old kit. So make sure you're using the 4.0 if you have any of those dash cams that require more power. And the kit has a low voltage protection feature. If your vehicle runs on 12 volts, like most vehicles do, then when the battery reaches 11.8, the kit is gonna cut power to the dash cam to protect your vehicle's battery. Now, if your vehicle uses 24 volts, that low voltage cutoff is gonna happen at 23.7 volts. And these 3 wires are gonna go to the fuse box, and all 3 of them have to be connected to their corresponding locations in order for the kit to work correctly. The first wire is labeled GND, and that is for ground. Normally, I find a bolt that I can loosen, then I can slide the terminal in, retighten it, giving me ground. Next up is gonna be this wire right here that has been labeled ACC. This wire needs to have power only when the vehicle is on. When the vehicle is off, there should not be any power going to this wire. Then we have a yellow wire which has been labeled B+. This wire needs to have power all the time, even when the vehicle is off. Now let's talk about the fuse tabs. On this example fuse box, which is going to be very similar to what's on the vehicle, what I like to do, I like to pull a fuse from the car. And then once I have the fuse, I can take that fuse and compare it to the fuse tab to see which one matches. As you can see, this is a little too large. This guy right here, this one matches perfectly. So this is the correct fuse tab for this fuse size. This fuse size is called the mini fuse size. So now that I identify which is the right fuse tab, notice that I'm able to insert that fuse tab into the fuse box of the vehicle for the connection that I'm gonna make. And the kit includes fuse tabs for the most common fuse sizes found on a vehicle. This is a standard fuse, and that's what the standard fuse tab looks like. This is the mini fuse tab, micro 2 fuse, micro 2 fuse tab, low profile fuse tab. Now, the only one that they don't include is this guy right here. It's a little bit rare, but this is called the micro 3 fuse. If your vehicle happens to use a micro 3 fuse, you'll need a micro 3 fuse tab. I'll put a link to this fuse tab in the description down below. And now that I know which fuse tab size I need, I can get rid of the other ones. In this case, I only need 2 of the mini fuse tab. Next, I'm gonna attach the fuse tab to the yellow wire until it's fully secure on there, and then I'm gonna attach another fuse tab to the red wire again, so it is fully secured in there. And on this close-up, you can see that there are 2 clear sleeves that are used to cover this connection. So what I like to do, I like to push this one like this, and then I push the other one over the smaller one until it fully covers that connection so it doesn't short out with anything else. And there's 2 potential scenarios when connecting fuse tabs to a vehicle's fuse box. The first one is that most cars are gonna have empty, unused fuse spaces in the fuse box, and those empty fuse spaces may be good candidates for both the ACC and the BAT connections. Now, the second possibility is that the fuse box is gonna be completely filled with fuses, so there is no place to plug this guy in. In that case, fuse tabs allow us to do something very cool, and that is for me to remove a fuse from the vehicle. Then I can take that fuse and transfer it over to this spot right here, the bottom spot on the fuse tab, and then I'm gonna insert this until it fully bottoms out. And now I have 2 fuses on one fuse tab. Then I can take that fuse tab and insert it back into the fuse box. Now what this essentially does, it allows me to run 2 fuses on a single fuse space. The important part to remember is that the top fuse is for the hardwire kit, and this fuse is already preloaded there by WOLFBOX. The second fuse spot, if it's being used, that is for the fuse that was pulled off the vehicle. But most of the time there are empty fuse spaces, and when there's empty fuse spaces, there is no need for the second bottom fuse. Only the top fuse, which is the one for the hardwire kit, is needed, and again, it has already been pre-installed there by WOLFBOX. Let's also talk about fuse tab orientation. A normal fuse typically does not have orientation, meaning I can insert it into the fuse box like this, or I can insert the fuse upside down and the fuse is gonna work correctly. However, a fuse tab does have only one correct orientation. On some vehicles, the fuse tab is gonna be inserted in this direction. Notice the direction of the wire. And on some other vehicles, the fuse tab needs to be inserted in the opposite direction. Now, the only way to know which is the correct orientation for the fuse tab to be inserted is by physically probing the vehicle's fuse box. And I have made another video showing how I probe the fuse box to find correct orientation. I'll put a link to that video in the description down below if you'd like to see it. And if you recall, one wire needs to have power all the time, and that is BAT, and one wire needs to have power only when the vehicle is on, and that is ACC. On a car's fuse box, you'll see that there is no mention of BAT or ACC. So how do we know which of these spaces has power all the time or power only when the vehicle is on? Well, the only way to know which is the correct place to connect these fuse tabs into is by physically probing the vehicle's fuse box. And that same video where I cover fuse tab orientation, I also cover how to find the location for ACC and BAT on any vehicle. Again, link to that video in the description down below. So overall, this is a pretty good comprehensive hardwire kit. I love that they included fuse tabs and that they are ready to be connected to the hardwire kit. You'll be surprised at the number of hardwire kits that I review that do not come with fuse tabs, and when they don't come with fuse tabs, you also have to attach these terminals manually to the wires, so it makes it a lot more work than just having it received like this ready to go. Now, another cool thing is that the instruction manual has really good graphics and really good information about how the fuse tabs works, how the kit is connected, and also what can happen if the wires are connected incorrectly. The manual is also a big improvement over the prior manual, which also had nice graphics but very tiny font, so this is a lot more readable. And now that you're familiar with the kit, I have made another video showing how I use this tool to run and hide all the cables into the vehicle's trim without removing any panels. I'll put a link to that video in the description down below in case you need to look at that. I'm also going to put a link to this hardwire kit in the video description if you need to get one for yourself. And if you guys have any other questions regarding this, please put that in the comments also. If you found any part of this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button to support the channel and stay tuned as I have a lot more dashcam videos coming up. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.